Hello, everybody. Today I'm talking about 2 days on the protocol because I missed yesterday. My apologies. So we're going to talk about days 3 and 4. Um, Day 3 was another really great day for me. I lost 1.2 pounds. So I was very happy with that. Um, and I had my usual low carb taco, which, by the way, the whole thing is actually 3 carbs for the whole tortilla. So if you have half of it, you only have 1.5 carbs. So once I figured that out yesterday, not yesterday, but 2 days ago, um, I had the full tortilla because I figured it's only 3 carbs and I can then have like all and really feel satisfied like I had a really good hearty meal. I weighed to see how much meat I'm putting on, and I am only putting on 4 ounces. So I am only eating half the amount of protein in terms of meat. Of course, I sprinkle a little bit of mozzarella cheese on it, and I need to kind of cut back on that because that has fats in it. So I really probably could have 2 different tortillas with the meat on it. I should really think about this now. The other thing that I did is I added some guac. So there's these tiny little containers, individual containers of guac that you can get in a box at Costco, and I put one of the containers of guac on it with, of course, a massive load of lettuce. And then I went and I got some tomatoes and I cut some cherry tomatoes in half and put some of those on too. So it was wonderful and delicious. I had no additional bread this day, but I did have some little keto desserts, which are nuts with like a coconut flavoring on them. They were from Costco as well. They're like keto friendly, kind of crumbled nuts and something with like it has like a coconut flavoring on it. And they're very good. And I thought maybe I can get away with eating these. And then, of course, I lost 1.2 pounds. So I was very, very excited about that. Jump to yesterday then. So, yesterday I had the same taco. I only did half of the container of guac because I know that there's a lot of fats in it. So I thought I'm going to start cutting back and I'm going to do half the container of guac and then eventually cut back more and more on the mozzarella, which, mind you, I'm only having maybe an eighth of a cup of mozzarella on there as it is. It's literally just a spattering to give it just a little more flavor. But I had also more of those keto nuts, but probably double the amount of keto nuts than I had the time before. It's like a crumble, so it's hard to measure. I didn't measure it and take it out. I was just kind of eating a couple of some of the pieces out of the bag, and some of the hunks are much larger than other ones. I think I had a lot more of it. Um, and this morning when I got on the scale, my loss was point 0.1. So I'm going to celebrate the fact that I had a loss, and I'm going to make adjustments. I do have to keep in mind also, I did not every day I've been on this diet so far. On the first 3 days, I've had a bowel movement every day. Yesterday, I did not. So, of course, that's going to be reflected on the scale as well. But doesn't matter. I still want to see better numbers than minus point 0.1. So, also yesterday I didn't go to the gym, and I go to the gym most days, but it was just a really, really busy day and a lot going on, and I just didn't have time to get it in. So I don't know. I don't think there's a direct correlation with the same day if the next day you get on the scale, but I don't know, maybe. So I definitely have to get to the gym today, and I am going to cut back on eating all those keto things. Maybe have just like one piece of the chunk if I feel like I need to, but I'm going to try to avoid it altogether. And hopefully I can see better numbers on the scale tomorrow. That's where we are. All right, tomorrow will be day 5. Today I said I was going to talk a little bit about the first thing that he mentions on interruptions of weight loss. So let's get started. It's called the plateau. This is what he writes. The second type of interruption we call a plateau. A plateau lasts 4 to 6 days and frequently occurs during the second half of a full course, particularly in patients that have been doing well and whose overall average of nearly a pound per effective dose has been maintained. Those who are losing more than the average all have a plateau sooner or later. A plateau always corrects itself, but many patients who have become accustomed to a regular daily loss get unnecessarily worried and begin to fret. No amount of explanation convinces them that a plateau does not mean that they are no longer responding to the normal treatment. All right, let me just click this. Getting my classroom ready. Okay. I have a little break between classes as I'm doing this, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. Okay, I'm going to continue. In such cases, we consider it permissible for purely psychological reasons to break up the plateau. This can be done in two ways. One is a so called apple day. An apple day begins at lunch and continues until just before lunch of the following day. The patients are given 6 large apples and are told to eat one whenever they feel the desire through the excuse me. I clicked on the mouse and the whole text just jumped. Where were we? Okay. And they are told to eat one whenever they feel the desire, though 6 apples is a maximum allowed. Okay, side note, you don't have to eat all 6, but I'll do a separate video just on apple day. During an apple day, no other food or liquids except plain water are allowed. And water must only be you must only drink water to quench uncomfortable thirst if eating the apple still leaves them thirsty. Most patients feel no need for water and are quite happy with their 6 apples. Needless to say, an apple day may never be given on the day on which there is no dose. The apple day produces a gratifying loss of weight on the following day, chiefly due to elimination of water. This water is not regained when the patients resume their normal 500-calorie diet at lunch, and on the following days they continue to lose weight satisfactorily. Okay, side note, if you go back to yesterday's video, I talked about how sometimes there are plateaus or maybe even a slight weight gain because as you lose fat, those cells temporarily will fill with water and then eventually flush out and then shrink down. So, what this apple day is doing is if you are at the point that you have a lot of cells that are full of water and therefore the scale is not reflective, you're actually losing fat, but the scale's not reflecting it yet. And psychologically, you need to see the scale reflect it, and you don't want to wait for it to naturally on its own kind of dissipate and urinate it out of your body. Then you can do this apple day to help encourage that process along. Okay. That is why they don't regain it. So typically you'd say, oh, if you don't have a lot of water, you obviously lose weight because water weighs so much. But as soon as you start drinking water again, you gain it back. This is the reason why you wouldn't gain it back, is because it's a different water that you're losing, not just water that's in your stomach or that your body needs, but water that's in these cells. Okay. The other way to break a plateau is by giving a diuretic. We use 1 tablet per day. This is simpler for the patient, but we prefer the apple day, as we sometimes find that the diuretic is very effective on the following day, but it may take 2 to 3 days before the normal daily reduction is resumed, throwing the patient into a new fit of despair. It is useless to give either an apple day or a diuretic unless the weight has been stationary for at least 4 days without any dietary error having been committed. Okay, so he's saying don't do either one of these just because one day the scale doesn't look good. The fact that I lost zero point 0.1, I should not throw myself into a tizzy and do an apple day or by any means a diuretic, which he doesn't really like anyway. But if you find yourself going 4 days without losing anything, then this might be the thing that you need to psychologically kickstart yourself back into. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. And of course, he said the diuretic, I think because it tends to take more water from other places, is not the best way to go, because then you can kind of have a rebound up and then your weight goes back up again and then it takes a while to readjust. The apple day doesn't have another spike afterwards. It has a loss and then it kind of continues there. I don't know 100% all the science behind it. I am not a medical professional. All I'm doing is reading to you what the protocol says. So, I have done an apple day in the past and I did find it to be successful. I believe I had lost over a pound the next day when I was really stuck on weight loss. So, yeah. And I'll probably at some point in this diet do another apple day. I'm pretty sure I didn't eat all 6 apples, but I'll do an apple day and kind of talk you through it and tell you how it was for me because it's been years since I've done an apple day on this diet. There is also a thing called a steak day that some people do. And I'll talk about that, and maybe I'll do a steak day one day as well. Doesn't steak day sound so much better than apple day? Steak day is a good day. And I believe I lost weight, but not as much on the steak day when I did it. All right. So that's all we have today about plateaus that he has in the protocol under fluctuations of weight loss. If you're experiencing some fluctuations in your weight loss, these might be one of the reasons and some of the things that you can do for it, or you can just stay the course. Be patient and wait a few more days because inevitably it's going to go. I think that I had a plateau almost as long as a week. I think I had one up to 6 days once. So frustrating, especially as he said, if you're completely sticking to protocol. Now, I don't always completely stick to protocol, so I have myself to blame. But I can understand how frustrating it can be. I really do. So sometimes you want to do something just to see the scale show a little bit of a different number, going back down so that you have that motivation to just stick with it and keep going. Because although you're not hungry on this diet, you do start to miss some of the other foods that you had been eating your whole life. It does tend to get a bit monotonous on the things that you can eat, which is why I recommend you find something that you absolutely love, which for me is ground turkey taco with taco seasoning. All right, that's all I have for today. Take care. I will see you next time. Bye.